Word. evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the Blue Cross Arena at the War Memorial for tonight's National Lacrosse League contest between the Toronto Rock and your Rochester Knighthawks. As a friendly reminder, the Blue Cross Arena is a smoke-free facility. Designated smoking areas are available outside the upper atrium. We thank you for your cooperation. Anyone who uses objectionable or undesirable language, consumes alcoholic beverages not legally sold inside the arena, or who throws anything onto the playing surface or at any player, official, or other spectator shall be subject to immediate ejection from the premises, in addition to any remedy, fine, or arrest that may be provided for by law. Lacrosse is a hard-hitting, fast-paced sport, and the National Lacrosse League reminds all fans that objects may leave the playing surface, so please be alert at all times. If you are struck by an object leaving the field and require medical attention, please see an usher immediately. Also, there is to be no standing along the walkways while the game is in progress. Be courteous to other spectators and wait for a stoppage of play before returning to your seats from the arena concourse. In the event of an injury or an emergency, a medical staff is present here at the Blue Cross Arena. As a reminder, there are exits located at each end of the building. Please take a moment to familiarize yourself with the exit closest to your section. If you do require assistance, please notify the nearest usher. Ladies and gentlemen, please consult your game programs for the following lineup changes. For the Toronto Rock, delete number 16, Blaine Manning. Delete number 22, Cam Woods. And delete number 87, Kyle Belton. No additions. For your Rochester Knighthawks, delete number 4, Jamie Batson. Delete number 28, Stephen Keogh. And delete number 98, Jimmy Purvis. No additions. Here are the officials for tonight's game. Our crew chief is Robert Hollingsworth. The assistant referee is Chris Williams. The shot clock operator is Robert Gross. The official scorer is Gary Simons. The official statistician, Gary Ronco. Official timekeeper, Mike Visbaris. Penalty timekeeper, Michelle Ronco. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the turf tonight's fancy dancers. And now welcome the hottest dance team in the league. Yes, they are your Rochester Nightingales. Welcome to the Blue Cross Arena for this special occasion as the Rochester Knighthawks host the Toronto Rock during the 5th annual Knighthawks Hall of Fame Night. Tonight we honor a man that stands alone as the greatest player to ever play his position with the Rochester Knighthawks. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome tonight's Master of Ceremonies, Newman.
Good evening. The Rochester Knighthawks, in their 19 seasons of play in the National Lacrosse League, have had many players wear the teal and purple uniform of our Knighthawks. Lacrosse fans, at this time I ask you to give a round of applause as we welcome a collection of Rochester Nighthawk alumni and current players. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric To turn your attention to the video scoreboard as we honor the 11th member of the Knighthawks Hall of Fame. We're going to try this again. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the video screen for a tribute for tonight's honoree.
In the hierarchy of National Lacrosse League goalies, he's one of the very best to ever play the game. A two-time NLL champion as a player and the man with the second most saves in league history. Pat O'Toole played for 3 teams over a 16-year career but made his mark in Rochester. The two-time All-Pro and 2003 Goalie of the Year, was one of the most dominating netminders of the 1990s and the new millennium. In his 12 seasons in Rochester, he established goaltending standards that may go unmatched in Knighthawks history. He is the franchise's leader in wins, saves, postseason wins, and playoff saves. The Brampton, Ontario native was a fixture in goal for Rochester from 1999 to 2010 and left with a .102.51 record and 11.21 goals against average and a .771 save percentage. Additionally, he guided the Knighthawks to finals appearances in 1999, 2000, 2003, and 2007. He was named the team MVP in 2007 as he was one of the keys to Rochester's championship season. Assistant coach Paul Day called him the backbone of the team, a constant steady hand guiding us over a decade. He was the basis for our success for many years. The 2007 season was a banner year for O'Toole, who set the team record for wins by a goalie with 13 and amassed the most points in a single season by a Knighthawk goalie with 23. The Cup was the first of 2 championship rings he owns with the Knighthawks, capturing his second last year as the team's goaltending coach. The man known affectionately as Tool Time can now add one more honor to his long list of career accomplishments. Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 11th member and first goalie enshrined in the team's Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, what time is it? Please welcome Knighthawk Hall of Famer Pat O'Toole. Joining Pat tonight, his wife Lynn and his son Connor and his daughter Kayla. Please welcome Knighthawks owner and general manager Kurt Stiers, also Knighthawks team president Louis Stotts. They will now present Pat with 2 tokens of appreciation commemorating tonight's induction. The first token is a photograph of Pat O'Toole in goal during the 2010 season, where he set the NLL all-time saves record. The second honor will allow Pat O'Toole to always know what time it is, as he receives a special high-gloss mahogany clock plaque. Let's hear it one more time for Pat O'Toole. Tool time, the mic's yours, pal.
Thanks very much. You don't know how much you miss that cheer until it's done. But I want to thank the Knighthawks fans for all the support and all the cheers and everything throughout 12 years here in Rochester. And again, thank you very much. Just 1 second here. There we go. That's a little bit better. Back home. All right, I'll try and keep this as short as possible, as one day I was on that bench and just chomping to get at this game. But there is a couple people I have to thank here. You don't get to stand up here and to receive this honor without thanking a bunch of teammates and a bunch of people along the way. First, I'd like to thank Kurt Stiers. Kurt, you purchased this team and you kept it here in Rochester, in this great city, and in front of these great fans. You've also brought many great things to this city. You've given the team everything we need to be successful. And you've also brought the things like this Hall of Fame. Last year, the freebie for the playoff game to pack this rink. A bus trip to Toronto to give us that edge over there. And everything you do it with class. Your passion for the Knighthawks and the sport of lacrosse is awesome. And I'd like to thank you and your family for purchasing the Knighthawks and leaving it right here in Rochester. To Steve Donner and Jody Gage, I came to this organization in 1999, and you've treated me with nothing but class. You set higher standards for every organization in this league to have to follow. You made everyone on the team feel like family, and everyone's family feel like they're part of the team. I'd also like to thank you during the very difficult times and all the expansion that happened in the NLL. You kept me as your starter, and you let me be the backbone of this team for 12 seasons. Jody, even the day that you had to make that phone call to tell me that I wouldn't be back, you did it with class. You did it with class and sincerity that made the transition into coaching a lot easier. To all the coaches here in Rochester, I've been very fortunate to have great coaches along the way. To Paul Day, Eddie Como, and Paul Gate, along with all their assistants, not only did I learn to become a better lacrosse player, a smarter lacrosse player, you also taught me to be a good person. I was very fortunate to have you guys as my coach and lead me all this way. Your genuine care for all of us made it really easy to go out here every night and work hard for you. And so I'd like to say to all of you, thank you for playing a major role in my career here in Rochester. Behind the scene, there's lots of people that do a lot of work that don't get a lot of recognition but are a great part of our organization. To the trainers and medical staff, at the beginning of my career, I'd like to think that I did all right, but near the end, as I got older, it was a little bit harder for you guys to keep me out here. I just want to thank every one of you, Mike Katz, Jem Mahar, Dr. Don, and all the doctors. You added a couple years onto my career, and I'm very thankful. For our goalie, the equipment managers, I can't say enough, and you're the best. Jack Heyman, Ryan Gage, Chris Chagnosh, and all their helpers, thank you. From the day I walked in to Jack welcoming me, to Ryan Gage stepping it up a notch and treating us like we were in the NHL. All right, our laundry was done, our equipment was aired out, and we couldn't want for anything because you guys already had it for us. I just want to say thanks very much for making us all feel like we're stars. This is the toughie. To the players, I'd like to stand here tonight and thank every player individually, but there's just not enough time. So I'll just say thanks to all of you. You made me the goalie I was, and the ones that allowed me to succeed. Goalie is a unique position. You're standing in this crease all alone. You guys battled for me every shift and gave me the greatest chance to stop the ball. My success and this honor of Hall of Fame is a direct reflection of your hard work. This was a close group over the years, and we were like family. I just remember one time, or a couple of years in a row, we'd be in training camp and there'd be a young kid coming out and he'd whiz a ball by my head. And like clockwork, you'd see Casey Zaff walk across the floor and go introduce himself to that guy and tell him I was a starting goalie. And if I ever did that again, he'd introduce him to another section of lacrosse called fighting. Of course, this is the family version of the story, but it just goes to show how great these guys were and how much they battled for me every day. Today, I stand in front of this podium accepting an honor and entering the Knighthawks Hall of Fame. But I can say in my heart, the same players that battled for me for 12 seasons are standing here beside me accepting this award with me. To all my teammates throughout the years, thank you very much, everyone. Couple more and I'll be done, guys. To my family, a great part of my success is the support and encouragement you guys gave me. I started playing lacrosse when I was 4, and I ended at 39, and I can count on one hand the amount of games my parents missed. And I just want to thank them for all their support. Also here tonight is my brother Mike and his wife Cheryl, my uncle Peter and Aunt Blanche, my cousins, my nephews and my nieces, and I'd like to say to all of them who've made many trips out here to support me, thank you very much. I cried at this one when I was writing it, so bear with me. I want to say thank you to my wife. All right, thank you for all your support and letting me live my dream of playing lacrosse. Without all your love and hard work and what seemed like raising kids as a single mother for 5 months every year, my dream wouldn't have come true. Thank you, and I love you. To my kids, Connor and Kayla, I'd like to say thank you for your understanding and support when Dad wasn't around every weekend and out playing lacrosse. If you take anything out of tonight, I'd like you to strive to be your best and never give up. When I was growing up, there wasn't even professional lacrosse, and I was then able to play my favorite sport and live out my dream. Take this memory today and remember that dreams do come true. I love you guys. Last but definitely not least, the fans. I have never met a more passionate group of people. From our fantastic booster club that's here every night to the casual walk-up fan, your support for Knighthawks throughout the years is unbelievable. Running on the floor at the beginning of every game or walking to the net after the anthem. You guys made this a fun place to play. I remember one day Sean Williams came in here after the anthem, and he looked us all in the eye as we all had goosebumps because of all the noise and said, if you can't get up to play this game, you need to leave right now. In walking to my net in the second and fourth to a standing ovation, thank you very much down there. So looking over my right shoulder and seeing my #1 fan, Melanie, with the latest O'Toole jersey, or 8,000 people yelling Tool time after a save. You guys energize me every week. I love playing in this barn. I love playing here in Rochester because of you and your enthusiasm. There's nothing better than playing in this barn on a Saturday night when it's rocking. You truly are the seventh man on the floor. Thank you very much. One last story before I get out of here and we can get this game on the road. I was sitting in my son's bed one night after I found out I wouldn't be back with the Knighthawks, and I told him I was going to retire and start coaching. I was trying to explain to him Dad wasn't going to be playing lacrosse anymore. He wanted me to play and didn't understand why I just didn't go to another team. I kept trying to explain that night, but he was a little too young to understand. I hope after tonight, after he processes all these cheers and all these smiles, that he understands. Dad didn't want to play for another team. Dad bleeds purple and teal, and from now on, will be a Nighthawk forever. Thank you, Knighthawks fan. You truly are the best in the league.
What time is it? Let's give it up for the newest member of the Rochester Knighthawks Hall of Fame.
Welcome to the Blue Cross Arena for tonight's National Lacrosse League action as the Rochester Knighthawks get ready to take on their neighbors to the north, the Toronto Rock. Alongside Chris Driscoll, I'm Craig Rubzinski, and this is a East Division showdown with a lot at stake. Rochester trying to get back to their winning ways, 1-5 at home this year. Toronto can wrap some stuff up tonight. If they have a victory here in Rochester, they will clinch a first-round home playoff game. Combine that with a Philadelphia loss this evening, and they will already clinch the Eastern Division. So a lot on the line for Toronto, coming off a big victory over the Buffalo Bandits last night at the Air Canada Center. And Rochester in third place, trying to get even with Philadelphia in second. And when you look at the intangibles tonight, the star player, first you look at the Toronto Rock, Garrett Billings. He had 7 points last night, leads the league with 86 points, leads the league in assists. The offense really goes through number 13.
Oh, absolutely. Garrett Billings is one of those players. He can do it all. He can shoot the ball from the outside. He can hit guys low on the crease with his passes. And you know what? He's got 86 points, and there's a reason why he has 86 points. He's just an unbelievable offensive player, and the ball seems to be going through him a lot this year.
And for the Rochester Knighthawks, Dan Dawson has been heating up as of late. 3 goals and 9 assists in the last 2 games. 43 points. That's second on the Rochester Knighthawks. Big Dan Dawson, if Rochester's going to have success, they're going to need one of their big leaders out there to step up tonight.
Oh, for sure. You know, Dan Dawson's one of those guys. He's been in the league. I think last year he was over 100 points. So, you know, coming to a new team, it's something that you have to get used to. They have lots of big guns on that team. So he's one of those guys. I think he came in, tried to fit in, but I don't think he can do that. He's got to be one of those guys that's going to take the bull by the horns and run with it.
So one of the longest rivalries in the National Lacrosse League renews tonight as Rochester takes on Toronto. It's Hall of Fame night. Enjoy the game, everyone.
Our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you.
Welcome to the Blue Cross Arena alongside Chris Driscoll. I'm Craig Rubzinski. And one of the biggest rivalries in the National Lacrosse League on display tonight as the Knighthawks, third place in the East Division, trying to become spoilers as the Toronto Rock come in 9-4 after a big victory last night against Buffalo. Now if Toronto wins, they will clinch a first round home playoff game, and if they win and Philadelphia loses, they will already clinch the East Division. So the Rochester Knighthawks again trying to play spoiler, and Matt Vince at one end and Nick Rose at the other end. Rose 9-3, 10.73 goals against, leads the NLL with 505 stops. Took over the starting job midway through last season, led them to the East Division Finals. Unfortunately, their bid for 3 straight NLL Finals was derailed by Matt Vince and the Rochester Knighthawks. Vince comes in with some stellar numbers of his own, 10.17 goals against and an .804 save percentage. And on a night where we honored one of the best goalies in NLL history, Pat O'Toole, we have 2 of the best ball stoppers in the league here tonight in Rose and Matt Vince.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, Matt Vince has been he's been real hot. You know, his record doesn't show it, but it hasn't been a lack of play for him. He's still one of the best goalies in the NLL today, and he's one of the most athletic. He moves real well, and he saves the ball. And you know, Nick Rose is he's had a lot of shots on him this year, and he's ready to go. He seems like he's ready to be one of those starters for the league.
So the Rochester Knighthawks 1-5 at home, trying to get their second home win of the year as Campbell has it stripped away, and Jesse Gamble will scoop it on up. Gamble had a big night last night in the victory over the Buffalo Bandits with 7-6 at half, and Toronto blew it over with 9 straight goals. Doyle over on the left wing side. Doyle will get it back, coming off a 7-point night on 3 goals and 4 assists. LeBlanc with it. Has it to the left of O'Toole, now fed to Doyle. The turnaround shot is denied by Matt Vince. Rochester now, Cody Jamieson, leading the team in points this season. Has it over on the right wing side, spins away from one, gives it up top to Joel McCready, now to Dan Dawson. Paulus will flip it on over to Jamieson. His pass to Micah Kersey is intercepted, and Nick Rose will fire it up the floor. Opening minutes here of the first quarter. We're scoreless here from the Blue Cross Arena. Thanks for joining us. And Roger Weiss in his second game as a member of the Rock, and he stung his former team last night with a goal in the first half. And that one is picked off. Back away comes Ian Lord. He's got a breakaway on Rose. Shoots, score! Ian Lord, it's 1-0.
That was a great goal by Ian Lord. You know, he read that pass real well there. That Roger Weiss made kind of a soft pass up to the other side of the floor, and Ian Lord just read that real well. And you know what? They talked about the way to shoot on Nick Rose, and that was textbook on what they were talking about at video today. And you know, shoot around Nick Rose and make him move, and that's exactly what Ian Lord just did.
His first goal of the year for Ian Lord. He was released by the Buffalo Bandits and scooped up by the Knighthawks, and now Campbell off the face-off win. And a big hit over on the right wing side. And Rochester with possession as Craig Point has it on the left wing side. Craig Point, number 9 in teal. Fed now to Joe Walters. To Jamieson on the right wing. Watched there by Pat Merrill. Pass now to Vitarelli, looking, firing the shot over the top of the net. Picked up by McCready off the stick of Point. They battle for it in the near corner. Joel McCready is locked up in a shot clock violation. And we've got a whistle. I think we're going to get coincidental penalties The crew chief tonight, Robert Hollinsworth, the assistant referee, Chris Williams, and the shot clock operator is Robert Gross. Well, we've got Vitarelli and McCready for the Knighthawks and Merrill for Toronto.
I think Edwards is going to the box here for Toronto too. You know, that was one thing they talked about at the beginning of the game, that you know, they got to match Toronto's intensity. They come into these buildings and you know, rightfully so. They're first in the league and first in this division, so they're going to come in with a little bit of swagger, and I think Rochester's going to try and match that swagger and match their intensity.
So 2 players apiece over in the penalty box, and we talked about Toronto's victory 18-11 against Buffalo. That's the most goals that Toronto has scored this year, and the 9-0 run was also the longest run of the year for Toronto. 9-4 this season. As Colin Doyle, 2 goals shy of tying last year's goal mark already. As the team captain gives it to Sanderson over on the left wing to Billings. That one is swatted away. And that'll settle all the way deep in Toronto territory. Giving chase is John Sullivan, who is making his Knighthawks debut. He was acquired right before the trade deadline, along with Scott Self and Jimmy Purvis. Now Purvis is scratched because he's got to serve the 1-game suspension that he incurred. He elected to play last game because Mike Kirk was sick. Scott Self also out there. Jamison now breaking in on goal. Shot, save, rebound! And that one is just steered wide of the crease by a Kersey.
That was a great little one-on-one play there by Cody Jamison. You know, he beat his guy and drove to the net and shot around Nick Rose there. Nick Rose came up with a big save for the Toronto Rock.
Passed over now to LeBlanc. LeBlanc looking. Getting away from one man. He'll fire it up top to former Nighthawk Scott Evans. Now brought back near side to Doyle. Gives it over to Weiss. Weiss looking, shoots, and he rips that one wide of the net, and that'll go over the far glass and into the crowd, and Paul Dawson will start it back now for the Knighthawks, as Campbell will flip it over to Joe Walters. Walters looking for Johnny Paulus. If they can get that 2-man game working, that'll open up this offense tonight, and illegal Pickett's going to go back the other way. As Bill Greer, who had a goal last night in transition, as Toronto, with transition goals also by Doyle and Garrett Billings. It's one of the things that Troy Cordingley wanted the guys to work on, and they did it in spades last night. Over to Doyle, the high shot, and that is pinned under the right arm of Matt Vince.
Matt Vince looks real confident tonight. You know, he had a pretty good shoot around last night, and this morning he had a pretty good. Seems like he had a pretty good day. So I think he's ready and focused to play this game tonight.
10:50 to go here in the first. 1-0 on the goal by Ian Lord. Jamison shot. That one hit the far pipe. Bounces all the way across midfield. Gamble going after it. Watched there by Scott Self and Paul Dawson. Also settling back as Gamble will sprint off the floor in favor of Sanderson. As Garrett Billings, 86 points, leading the league, also top man in assists. He gets away from Campbell, feeds it over to Sanderson. The shot, save, rebound. Sanderson corrals his own rebound, came into the game with 52 points. Underhand pass to Evans. Now up top to Garrett Billings. Gives it over now to Weiss on the right wing side. Weiss up top to Sanderson. Back to Weiss. The shot that goes wide of the net. Billings trying to grab it off the far glass. Campbell overruns it. Scott Self going after it, and that's going to trickle across midfield. And they did not call the over and back. As Evans now will roll it into Rochester territory. It's a shot clock violation. 9:46 to go here in the first quarter. And the Rochester Knighthawks have the early lead, 1-0. We'll be back on the Knighthawks Broadcast Network.
Purchase your season tickets for the 2014 season, and early bird
First Fan Zone winner of the night. Aaron wins a gift card to the distillery. Congratulations, Aaron. Make sure to check into tonight's game by scanning the QR codes on your season tickets or the QR codes located in the atrium for your shot at a second chance prize later tonight, which is lunch with J-Dub at the distillery.
Ya tú sabes el resto, yo se lo doy DirecTV. Mira que tú estás rica.
One nothing Rochester as an unlikely goal scorer. Ian Lord, after the pickoff, goes coast to coast to beat Nick Rose, and it's 1-0. Rochester in the lead as Joe Walters being double teamed, and we've got a holding penalty upcoming. And the Rochester Knighthawks will go on the man advantage. The first of the game, they come into the contest converting 51% of their power play opportunities. That's fourth best in the National Lacrosse League. And they're going up against the second best penalty killing unit, the Toronto Rock. They're killing off 59% of the opposition's power plays as Dawson sails one into the near corner, and that one's grabbed by Bill Greer. Greer trying to get away from Vitarelli. He'll fire it over on the left wing side. A holding call to Pat Merrill with 9:08 to go here in the first quarter. LeBlanc with it. He had 5 points in the victory yesterday, 2 goals and 3 assists. Former Rookie of the Year in the National Lacrosse League. 3 seconds left on the shot clock. And he'll roll it into the far corner where the team captain of the Knighthawks, Sid Smith, will charge it up the turf, and he'll flip it to Dan Dawson. 3 goals and 9 assists in the last 2 games for Dangerous Dan. Up top now to Jamison. To Paulus, to Vitarelli. Now to Johnny Paulus, right wing side. Jamison, Dawson as they play a little catch up at the top of the key. Dawson looking, fires the shot. That one is knocked down by Rose. They battle for it in front of another shot. And that one is denied by Rose. Now the outlet pass the other way. Breakaway shot. Oh, what a save as Edwards is robbed by Matt Vince.
And that was an unbelievable save by Matt Vince. You know, it was almost like a goalie save in hockey, and he was up for that challenge, and it was just a great save by Matt Vince.
Johnny Paulus to Jamison. Now Dawson on the left wing. Jamison, look, shoots, he hit the far pipe. Second time he's clanked it off that far iron. Gets the rebound now to Dawson. To Jamison. Over to Acursi, the shot. That's knocked away. Vitarelli grabs it out of the air. Now to Jamison in front. The shot that hit the crossbar as Paulus let it go in tight. The Rock trying to move it in transition. And that one is grabbed by Rob Marshall and passed back to Billings. Billings has it now on the left wing side. As Garrett Billings, 4th season in the NLL, coming off an 82 assist, 114 point campaign last year, both career highs. Over to Sanderson. Sanderson looking, shoots, save, rebound. That one is swatted back but picked off by Paul Dawson. Fires it over now to Campbell. Into the Rock zone. Pulls the brakes and gives it to Joe Walters. Now to Joel McCready. Left wing to Dawson. Now Vitarelli. Passes it far side to Walters. Left wing side point. Feeds it across the shot. He hit the post. Vitarelli had Rose in a prone position. Now his feet up top is picked off by Chapman. What a great opportunity for Vitarelli.
Oh, unbelievable. And that's a book on Nick Rose to try and get kind of fixed shot from the outside and try and hit the low guy. And Corey Vitarelli was wide open on the doorstep and rang it off the post. I think that's 4th or 5th post that Toronto's hit tonight. So that's something that they're going to keep doing throughout the course of the game.
Doyle over left wing. The shot on the run. That's denied as Vince will give it to Brad Self. 3-on-2 break developing. Self leading the charge, feeds it over to Paulus across crease. The shot that hit the side of the net, and Rose also got a piece. That skimmed the outside of the far pipe. Rose got a stick on it. As Toronto back at even strength as Josh Sanderson feeds it over to Roger Weiss. The shot goes wide of the net, and that one is going to skip across midfield. And over and back violation, 5:56 to go here in the first. And so far, the goal by Ian Lord is the only marker so far this evening. Jamison feeds it in front, the shot saved as Johnny Paulus is denied by Rose. Across midfield, they come in numbers as Bill Greer will feed it on back. Now passed up top to Weiss. Now to Doyle, off the near boards. Doyle trying to take it in on goal, but he ran into Rory Glaves. Now he has Sid Smith. The shot from in tight, that's denied by Matt Vince, and now Sid Smith will bounce it to his right to Rory Glaves, and they clear it across. Dan Dawson will feed it down the near boards to Mike Accursi, who's 1 point shy of 800 in his career. Fed over to Dawson, he scores! Dan Dawson.
That was a great individual play there, and that was also a nice pass. One of the Toronto defenders broke his stick, so it was they kind of got the ball to Dan Dawson on the guy that didn't have his stick. So that was a great shot by Dan Dawson, and again he caught that ball in the crease and made a nice step across the crease and shot it around Nick Rose. So that's kind of been the book on Nick Rose for tonight's game.
So Dan Dawson with a goal for the Knighthawks. That is his 11th goal of the year. We'll wait for the assists. Goal at the 10-minute mark, flipped over by Garrett Billings. And that's grabbed by Vince as it hit the back of Scott Self. Across midfield comes Campbell. Campbell in the slot. Feeds it over now to Paul Dawson. Across the shot, and that's over the top of the net by Johnny Paulus. Paul Dawson scoops it up, gives it over to Paulus. Accursi and Self assisting. So Mike Accursi with his 800th career point. Joel McCready has it on the left wing, gives it to Point, fires it up top to Vitarelli. Over to Jamison, shot clock violation. 4:15 to go in the Rochester Knighthawks with a 2-0 lead as Ian Lord and Dan Dawson have put them past Nick Rose, and Vince has been what they call invincible so far. 2-0 Knighthawks. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Blue Cross Arena, 2-0 Rochester. As LeBlanc will take it across midfield. Toronto playing their second game in 2 nights, and when a team that has played back-to-back games plays a team that's playing their first game of the weekend, they are 10-1. The lone loss was the 8-7 loss by Toronto to Philadelphia. in the game where the Wings stormed back to shock the Rock at the Air Canada Center earlier this season. That was on January 19th. So I guess when you're playing a lot of lacrosse and you get that stick working, it does help you on those 2-game weekends.
Yes, that's for sure. You know, guys are some of these guys are used to playing in the summer, playing back-to-back games, or playing in Man Cups, or playing in playoffs. So these guys are used to playing back-to-back games. And you know what? It's almost the first game's almost like a warm-up. You come into the second game, there's a little bit of fatigue, but the adrenaline from the game before carries you through to the end of the second game.
Walters gives it over to Jamison to Kersey, and he pushes that wide of the net. I don't know if that was a shot or he tried to pass that.
I think Micah Kersey just wanted to get it in and out of his stick there, so I think that was probably a shot towards the net. But it's a good play. It's a quick stick that the Knighthawks seem to be pretty successful with tonight.
Sanderson now to Garrett Billings. He's going to draw a lot of attention tonight. Passes it over on the left wing side to Evans. Trying to get away from Dylan Evans. The shot, and that is smothered by Matt Vince, who feeds it on ahead to Scott Self, the older brother of Brad Self. As Joe Walters now will take the feed. Passed over on the near boards to Point. Up top to Vitarelli, swings it across, and now they'll give it back to Point. Face dodge to get away from his defender. Now gives it to McCready in the slot to Paulus. Over to Point, the shot off the crossbar. And that one goes out of play. And Rochester will maintain possession, but another crossbar.
Another crossbar by the Knighthawks. Their offensive guys are shooting real well tonight, and it's just a matter of time before that ball's going to start dropping.
McCready tracks it down in the near corner, trying to get away from Merrill. Joel McCready to Point. He gets some help there by Walters. Now feeds it over to Point. Cross crease pass. Then he can't get it out of his stick. The wraparound. Score! It's the air dog as Vitarelli slams it home.
And that was patience by Corey Vitarelli. He caught that ball from a quick stick on the crease, and Nick Rose was down and out. The Toronto defender kind of pushed him off balance, and Corey Vitarelli came around and stuffed it in on the other side. So that was a great athletic play by Corey Vitarelli. He's one of those guys that he comes up with plays this year that you just say, wow. And that was definitely a wow factor, that's for sure.
17 goals this year. As a young man, he always wanted to play like John Grant Jr. And this year, he's showing that he's got a couple in his bag of tricks that really emulate his idol.
Yeah, that's for sure. Corey Vitarelli is one of those guys that kind of doesn't get a whole lot of limelight. He's a Peterborough boy, and playing under the likes of the Selfs and the Evans and the John Grants and the Tracy Kaluski. He's one of those guys that he's consistent. He's athletic. He can shoot. He can pass. He can do a lot of things. He's a great team player, and he's proven that he can play with the best of them.
Coincidental Miners hand it out, and the teams will run 5 aside. The shot, save, rebound, grab by a Kersey. Over now to Dawson. Swings it over, right wing side. Jamison. In front, Paulus, the low shot, and that is kicked away by Rose. And that goal by Vitarelli at 13:05, his 17th of the season. And Garrett Billings has it on the left wing. One-on-one against Self. The dive and the kick save. And Matt Vince has it underneath him. 1:06 to go here in the first. And Rochester now with the ball with 57 seconds to go here in the first. McCready from the left wing. Across to Jamison. Cody Jamison in the high slot, looking, fires. Oh, and that one hit Rose and then went wide of the net. Walters trying to scoop it up. And Jesse Gamble now leading the rush the other way. 2-on-1 break. Over now on the right wing side. That's kicked away by Paul Dawson. They had a 2-on-1 break developing. Pat Merrill couldn't hang on. And big Paul Dawson soccer kicked it away. 20 seconds to go here in the first. 3-0 Knighthawks. Now 14 seconds left. The net to our right is empty. As Craig Point will give it to Paulus, back to Point. Now to Dawson, up top to Point. Over right wing side, fed in front, the shot, he scored! Micah Kersey while he was falling to the ground.
That was a nice set play there by the Rochester Knighthawks, and it was real smart of Coach Hazen to pull Matt Vince and go 6 on 5. There was a difference of I think a couple seconds in the shot clock and the game clock. So that's a great play and a great smart call by Coach Hazen to put them up 4-0 going into the second quarter of the game.
And that is going to do it after 1 quarter of play here on Hall of Fame night. Pat O'Toole got the guys charged up with his Hall of Fame speech, and the players have done the rest so far as they have shut out Toronto. After the first 15 minutes of play, 4-0 Hawks, and Vitarelli and the boys leading the way.
Gentlemen, welcome the hottest dance team in the league, your Rochester Nightingales. Cornhill is the premier full-service spa of the Rochester.
Welcome back to the Blue Cross Arena. Rochester with a 4-0 lead, and they'll have the first possession as Jamison will feed it over to Dan Dawson, who's got a goal tonight. Over to Jamison on the near boards. That last goal, a Kersey from Walters and point at 14:58. Jamison getting away from one, and he's spun around, and now here we go. Joel McCready for the Knighthawks is going to take on Pat Merrill. Oh, big left hand by Joel McCready, and Pat Merrill still wants a piece of the youngster. Joel McCready. Joel McCready stung Pat Merrill. Merrill fired the first couple. And then boom, right off the side of the noggin.
Yeah, you know what? That's Joel McCready. He brings some energy to this team. He's offensively he's been playing offense the last few games, and he brings some energy. He brings some hard picks. He can shoot the ball. He can score. He can play some defense, and obviously he knows how to throw them. So good for Joel McCready. And you know what? It's Rochester's barn tonight, and they're not going to hold back any punches, and they're just going to continue to play and play hard and try and match that swagger and try and match that intensity that Toronto brings game in and game out.
And I think Rochester's going to get an extra 2 minutes here. They each get 5 for fighting. 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct. And Dan Dawson wants an explanation. And Mike Kirk also going over. So Toronto will go on the man advantage. They're converting 58% this year, second best in the NLL, only behind Calgary. Now Joe Walters will head over to serve the minor penalty as Doyle to Billings. The shot he scores, Garrett Billings from Colin Doyle. And it is 4-1, and they make quick work of the man advantage. It only took them 8 seconds.
Yeah, you know what? Toronto's power play is one of the best in the league, and that's the reason why. You know, they got lots of veterans on that team. They're smart. They move the ball real well. They're very unselfish, and they shoot the ball well. So, you know what? You're taking penalties against Toronto and Toronto Rock. They're going to capitalize, and it's something that's Joel McCready stepped up for his team and did a thing, and you know what? Hopefully they can get that one back for him.
Vino with a big hit on Sandy Chapman, and now we've got a scrum to the left of Vince as play continues on the other way. As Rochester has the ball in Rock territory, and now there's going to be a slashing penalty upcoming to Rochester.
Yeah, that's one of those timely penalties by Kirk there. You know, it's unfortunate. It's you just got to run right off. You just got to run right off the floor. He took a bit of a slap at one of the Toronto Rock players, and you know it's something that he took a little run at Matt Vince, but you got to let that stuff go. Toronto Rock's power play is way too good to be allowing them to go on the power play.
Well, Colin Doyle now to Sanderson. Now to Garrett Billings. To Doyle, over to Billings. Shot, he missed the net. And that one will go out of play. Well, Doyle came in to the game 20 points in his last 3 games. Garrett Billings, 22 points in his last 3 games.
Yeah, the ball's going through those two. You know, they're veterans. They're crafty offensively, and they come to play in and game out. And it's if you're not matching those guys, then it's going to be a long game for you.
Well, Rochester, the best penalty killing unit in the league, and they've yielded 1 goal on 1 opportunity. This is the second of the night as Colin Doyle will feed it down low to Sanderson. Now to Doyle, up top to Casey Barnes. Barnes now to Doyle. Sanderson in front to Barnes, a shot, and that one is denied by Matt Vince, and Rochester now will bounce it across to Rory Glaves, and Stephen Hoare is going to take that away. So Rochester settling back, 54 seconds remaining in the Toronto power play. Barnes coming off a 4-goal and 1-assist effort against Buffalo just 24 hours ago. Doyle in front, Barnes, a quick stick denied by Vince. Scott Evans picks it up. Evans up top to Billings, looks, fires the shot, and that pinballs its way on Vince, who grabs it, and he'll feed it on ahead. Brad Self to Jamison. Jamison, right wing side. 12.5 to go here in the second, as Vitarelli will give it to Dan Dawson. 14 seconds remaining in the penalty to Mike Kirk. Jamison, with 6 seconds on the shot clock, feeds it over to Acursi. And Acursi still with it. And we have a shot clock violation. And Toronto now, the penalty has expired. He doesn't see Kirk coming out of the box. And Jesse Gamble just able to get away. LeBlanc has it, watched there by Self. LeBlanc still with it. In front of the net, it's picked off by Sid Smith. Numbers the other way. Over on the left wing side. Fed in front of the net, and that goes right into the stick of Rose. Fed down the floor, Sullivan trying to get back. Greer grabs it. And Bill Greer. Nice story about Bill Greer. He wears number 21 because his daughter was born on the 21st. So that's why Greer wears number 21. As Sanderson grabs that errant shot. He fed it off the back of Glaves, and Scott Self will pick it up. takes it into the Rock zone to Dan Dawson, fires the shot, and that goes off of Nick Rose and out of play.
That was a great shot there by Dan Dawson. He was the third guy coming in off that fast break, and he took a real nice shot to the stick of Nick Rose, and he came out big and made that save.
Craig Point getting around his defender. The shot, and Rose just gets a piece. Roger Weiss across midfield. And he will bounce it over now to LeBlanc. Number 17 in white against Dylan Evans. In on goal, he misses wide. And the Knighthawks now will start it up the turf as Mike Kirk will give it to Mike Accursi. Bounce pass to Dan Dawson. Down the near boards to Jamison. Jamison looking, now gives it over to Dawson. Dawson looking, gets away from Chapman, over to Vitarelli. The shot, he hit the crossbar. Picked up by Jamison. The shot, he hit the crossbar, and that goes out of play.
Geez, I don't know how many pipes we've hit tonight, but it could be 10-1.
Dawson to Vitarelli to Jamison. Jamison in the slot, trying to get away from Edwards. Now to Accursi. To Jamison. Takes it in on goal. The shot, Rose got the left arm out in a crease call. 9:48 to go here in the second quarter. And the Rochester Knighthawks in the lead as Matt Vince keeping the high-scoring Rock to just one. 4-1 Knighthawks. We'll be back on the Knighthawks Broadcast Network.
Check out the Creekside fan photo booth on the green party deck during tonight's game. One photo strip will be chosen as the fan photo of the game, and it's going to be shown during our fourth quarter. All right, time to pucker up, Nighthawk fans. It's date night in Rochester. It's time for Kiss Cam, brought to you by Kiss 106.7.
There you go. Lay one on her, buddy. Oh. Come on, don't be shy. Maybe it's a first date. There's some lovebirds. Oh, come on. Look at him turning red. Hey, you in the hat, backwards. Yeah, you, man. Oh, look at the little cuddle bugs. There we go.
Welcome back to the Blue Cross Arena. 4-1 Rochester. As the Knighthawks with 4 goals in the first quarter, Toronto with a lone goal here in the second. And Colin Doyle assisted on that goal. He gives it over to Billings, now to Sanderson. His shot is deflected, and Vince will grab it off the back of the net and feed it on ahead. And Toronto having some success here the last couple of years. Have won 4 straight here at the Blue Cross Arena after losing the first 15 in a row in the regular season. Walters over to Accursi. Now to Point. Fires it over to Paulus on the right wing. Up top to Walters, the shot, and that's blocked by Rose. And grabbing it and feeding it on ahead now to Gamble. Jesse Gamble on the right wing side. Product of nearby Cornell University. Now to LeBlanc, and he fires it to Garrett Billings. Billings trying to get away from Big Paul Dawson. Feeds it over to Roger Weiss, the shot, and Vince with the stop. And he'll grab the rebound. Across midfield, the Knighthawks 4, Toronto 1, 8:28 to go. To thank everyone for joining us tonight. Enjoying their Easter weekend. Johnny Paulus now gives it over to Jamison. Jamison to Acursi. Now to Dawson. Dawson looking, fires the shot. That's denied by Rose. Rebound grab by Paulus. Johnny Paulus over to Dawson. Dawson drawing the double. Gives it behind the net to Jamison. Feeds it to Paulus, the shot, and Rose makes the save. He got the right arm on it. Acursi pressuring. Acursi trying to take it away. And a penalty coming up to Rochester. As Edwards took it across midfield. The extra man out there in the delayed call, and it'll be the third straight man advantage for Toronto. As Doyle gives it to Billings. Billings pass is knocked down, grabbed by Evans. Now to Doyle, the shot over the top of the net. And a holding call to Mike Acursi.
Yeah, and that was one of those plays that I think Mike Acursi just got tied up with the Rock player there, and his one arm got caught in between his stick and his arm, and it's unfortunate, but the referee was right on it, and he obviously seen what needed to be called.
7:16 to go as Mike Acursi will sit for the Knighthawks. He got his 800th career point in the first quarter. Weiss feeds it over, the shot. Good pressure there by Rory Glaves as he rushed the Rock shooter. Fed over now to Garrett Billings. Behind the back, he scores. Garrett Billings faked that he was going to shoot overhand and went behind the back and beat Vince. It's 4-2.
And that's why Garrett Billings is leading the league in points, because of plays like that. That was a great individual effort. That was a highlight reel goal. He went to shoot the ball and came around back to a backhander and shot it over Matt Vince's shoulder to the short side. And that was just a really nice goal by Garrett Billings.
So 4-2, 2 power play goals, and the Rock is back in this contest, 4-2. Billings from Weiss and Doyle. And Toronto's got possession as Garrett Billings has it on the left wing side. Feeds it across, the shot, and that's denied as LeBlanc let it go. And Rory Glaves will fire it on ahead to Brad Self. Gives it to Point, in on goal, the shot he missed. The rebound, Brad Self looking, the shot denied by Rose. In transition come the Rock the other way. Hobbins across right wing side over the top of the net, and a crease violation as Bill Greer had a lot of net to shoot at and missed.
Yeah, that's for sure. Toronto's transition was real quick there, and they got down to the other end while the Knighthawks offense was getting off the floor. So that's something that Rochester's going to have to watch out for.
Crease call on Jamison. And Toronto now, Gamble racing into Rochester territory. Weiss the shot. That's denied by Vince. Toronto now working it to Billings. Over to Colin Doyle, right wing side, brings it up top on the run. He bounces it wide of the net. Grab by Doyle. Watched by Paul Dawson. Rolls it on back to Garrett Billings. The shot, the save by Vince. Off the near glass. Evans grabbed it with his hand, and Rochester will take it over. And Scott Evans, former first-round pick of the Rochester Knighthawks. Vitarelli up top to Paulus, across, and Craig Point can't convert the quick stick now, picked up by Dan Dawson. Dawson left wing side, flips it up top to Point, he can't hang on. That one's intercepted by Johnston. 2-on-1 break the other way. Brad Self back, and that's off the stick of Hobbins. And Brad Self now charging across midfield. Gives it to Acursi, and Self is going to head off for a well-needed rest. Vitarelli. Now to Dawson, left wing to Acursi. Passes it to Jamison in front, the shot, and a crease violation on McCready. 4.5 to go. And the Rochester lead is now 2 as the Toronto Rock, with the only 2 goals here of the second, they've cut the Rochester lead in half, 4-2. We'll be back on the Knighthawks Broadcast Network.
Promotion for tonight only. Take your chance at an Easter mystery discount. Stop down and visit the team store, The Zone, which is located down in the lower lobby next to the box office.
All right, Nighthawk fans, Newman here behind Vino's goal with some Nightingales and John from Greece here. We're going to do the Seneca Niagara Casino spin to win. Whenever you're ready, you say spin, and if the one-armed bandit lands on 3 identical logos, you will win a gift card to the distillery. Whenever you're ready.
Spin.
Big money, no whammies. John from Greece wants some wings at the distillery. All 4 locations, Victor, Greece, Winton Road, Mount Hope. We have a winner.
Shots. As Brad Self will fire it to Johnny Paulus in front. Walters the shot. He was pressured from behind by Edwards. And now Merrill will take it across midfield with 3:40 to go here in the first half. Pass now to Roger Weiss. Over to Billings, down the near boards to Scott Evans. Evans still with it. Gives it to Garrett Billings. And Billings with both Rock goals. Over to Doyle. Doyle switching hands and scores. He shot that one right-handed, and it's 4-3.
Yeah, and that was just a shot by Colin Doyle. He, obviously switched hands and put it to the, it wasn't his short side, but when he switched hands, he made it at his short side. And that's something that I think Matt Vince probably wants back, because there probably wasn't a lot of mustard on that shot. So it was well placed, and obviously in lacrosse you don't have to shoot the ball real hard to score a goal, but that's probably a shot that Matt Vince wants back.
And a procedure call. Now, Colin Doyle did play field lacrosse in Major League Lacrosse. Helped the Rattlers win a championship. Played for the Nationals as well when they were in Toronto. Over now to Walters. Walters flips it over to Paulus. Up top of Kersey, the shot. That hit Rose and went wide of the net. 4-3 is our score. So the Rock now shutting out Rochester here in the second. Billings and Scott Evans assisting, and Chapman settles it in Rochester territory. He'll give it to LeBlanc. LeBlanc on the right wing. One-on-one with Rory Glaves. Gives it to Billings. Sets, fires over the top of the net. And back away comes Self. That's Brad Self. Gives it to Jamison. Scores! Cody Jamison, it's 5-3.
That was a nice goal there by Cody Jamison. I know it was probably a little tight to the crease, but I think he got the ball off before his feet even got close. So that was a nice shot by Cody Jamison. It was a great fast break by the Knighthawks. They got down the floor real quick and caught Toronto's defense a little bit flat-footed there.
Well, the goal by Jamison. At 12:40, the shot, and Merrill is denied by Matt Vince. Flipped on over to Hellier. Grab there now, Garrett Billings has it, lofts it up top, grab by Doyle. Walking in, the low shot denied by Vino. And Rochester now will try to clear it out of their own end. Taken across midfield, Paul Dawson to Vitarelli. As Dan Dawson now will give it to Jamison. Sizing up the defense is number 88. In front, Vitarelli. Shot denied by Rose. 1:20 to go. Johnston trying to grab it. Tracks it down, feeds it to Doyle. And the two captains battling one-on-one as Vice will feed it now to Scott Evans. 1 minute to go here in the first half, 5-3 Rochester. As Scott Evans with 6 seconds to work with on the shot clock. Evans has it knocked away. That one is picked off, and the shot by Evans is denied by Vince. Brad Self into Toronto territory. Sidesteps Gamble. He'll give it to Dan Dawson, looking, firing right into Rose. Grab by Marshall, 30 seconds left. And we have a timeout call by head coach Troy Cordingley. And the Toronto Rock.
This is one of those times where Toronto's going to, Coach Lovell's going to probably drop a offensive set here for the last 20, I guess 30 seconds on the score clock, 28 seconds on the 30-second clock. So you're going to look for some, probably a 6-on-5 play by the Toronto Rock, and they're going to try and get within one here before the end of the quarter.
So that goal by Jamison ended a scoreless drought. Then went back to 2 seconds left in the first quarter.
Yep, that's for sure. And you know what? It's I don't think it's been from the lack of trying for the Rochester Knighthawks. We've hit probably 7 or 8 posts over the course of the game, a couple crossbars. So offensively, we're the boys are playing real well, and they're executing all the stuff that they've gone over the course of the week and into the shoot around last night, and watched some video this morning and probably before the game. So it's something that offensively they've been struggling, and it seems to be like they're executing some things out there that seem to be having a little success with it.
And the Rochester Knighthawks now, 32 seconds left. The Knighthawks with a 2-goal lead. The Rock net is empty. As Colin Doyle with the ball on the right wing. Now to LeBlanc, back to Doyle. Left wing to Garrett Billings. 18 seconds to go. Doyle moving it up. Now pointing to the offense as he gave a little signal to Billings. Now Doyle looking, fires the shot right into the mask of Matt Vince. That one is knocked down. Picked up by LeBlanc. The shot and a save by Matt Vince ends the first half of play. So the Knighthawks, with a stellar performance by Matt Vince, have a 2-goal lead headed into halftime. We'll be back on the Knighthawks Broadcast Network.
Is strictly prohibited.
Welcome to the Blue Cross Arena. Some youth lacrosse players enjoying the Knighthawks turf, and Rochester enjoying a 5-3 lead at halftime. Craig Rubzinski joined by Chris the Pistol Driscoll, who was introduced as one of the alumni of the Rochester Knighthawks. And what a way to start for Rochester. 4 straight goals here against the first place Toronto Rock.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the offensively they came out real strong, and that's something that Rochester's lacked over the last few games, and they've struggled a little bit offensively. And I know they're taking great pride. The coaching staff has sat down a lot and talked a lot to the offensive guys and what needs to be done and what needs to be executed, and they seem to do it tonight.
And Rochester, like we said, came out firing early. And who scores? Ian Lord comes down on a breakaway.
Yeah, and that was Ian Lord. He just picked off a weak pass by the offensive player from Toronto, and he went down. And you know what? They talked a lot about shooting on Nick Rose, and he just shot around Nick Rose like he was talked about in practice on Wednesday.
And then the next goal by the big man in front, dangerous Dan Dawson.
And very similar, you know, he got to the crease, got himself open, and stepped around Nick Rose and shot a nice shot over Nick Rose's shoulder. So it seems to be working for the Knighthawks offense.
The third goal of the game's got to be one of the prettiest of the year, and who else? Corey Vitarelli.
Yeah, Corey Vitarelli again on the crease. He was down and out. Nick Rose was down and out, and you know, he's seen a wide open spot to the other side of the net, and he got around and he stuffed it in around Nick Rose. So that was a highlight reel goal.
And then to close out the first quarter of play, Rochester gets one with 2 seconds left, and it's 4-0.
Yeah, and that was a 6-on-5 play that Rochester probably drew up in the timeout, and it was something they executed real well. And Micah Cruzy got himself open like he does most often, and put the ball in behind Nick Rose.
Well, you can never count Toronto out. They're down 4-0. And their power play, one of the deadliest in the NLL, goes to work.
Yeah, Billings, you know, he's one of those guys. There's a reason why he's leading the league in points, and he can shoot the ball, and you give him time and space to shoot that ball, he's going to score more often than not.
The first 2 goals, in fact, power play goals by Garrett Billings.
Yeah, again, it was another, he got time, and he made a real nice one-on-one play rigged by Kirk there, and faked a shot and came around and put a backhander over Matt Vince's shoulders, and that was another highlight reel goal.
And after 2 assists by Colin Doyle, he gets into the goal-scoring column and cuts the deficit to 1.
Yeah, you know what? Colin Doyle is not primarily shoots with his offhand, but you know what? He made a nice little play, a little slip pass, or a little slip pick by past Campbell, and switched hands and shot it over Matt Vince's shoulder. And that's probably one of those shots that Matt Vince wants back, but unfortunately it was a great shot and it was well placed.
And then after keeping Rochester off the score sheet for about 13 minutes, the big goal from a big goal scorer, Cody Jamieson.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Cody's one of those guys. He's been a little bit quiet as of late, and he got a nice goal on Nick Rose. It was off transition. They caught Toronto flat-footed a little bit, and Cody Jamieson, when he gets an opportunity to put the ball in the net, he does it more often than not.
And that's where we stand right now, 5-3, as Cody Jamieson has given Rochester a 2-goal lead. We'll be back with statistics, and we'll also talk a little bit about Hall of Fame night as Pat O'Toole became the 11th member of the Knighthawks Hall of Fame. We'll be back in the Knighthawks Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the halftime report with Chris Driscoll. I'm Craig Rubzinski. 5-3 is our score here from the Blue Cross Arena. As the home team, the Rochester Knighthawks, with the slight advantage. Cody Jamieson giving Rochester the 2-goal lead back. And Drisky, let's take a look now at the first half stats.
Yeah, the first half stats, obviously shots on goal. Toronto's got 25, Rochester's 29, so Rochester a little ahead on there. Saves, you got Toronto Rock at 24, Knighthawks at 22. Loose balls, Toronto's out loose balling 41-33. Face-offs seem to be pretty even, which is something that the Rochester coaching staff talked a lot about, and trying to stay even or be ahead on that the face-off wins.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not bad. Dylan Evans, the primary face-off man for Rochester against Stephen Hoare, who is in the top 10 all-time in face-offs. Not bad to go 50%.
Yeah, that's for sure. And they talked about it being a battle, and it was definitely it's been a battle the first half of that game.
Well, I'm sure it'll be a battle in the second half. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll review Hall of Fame night as Pat O'Toole went into the Knighthawks Hall of Fame prior to the start of tonight's contest. We'll be back on the Knighthawks Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the Blue Cross Arena. Rochester leading Toronto 5-3. A festive atmosphere at the Blue Cross Arena as before the game, Pat O'Toole, the man that they call Tool Time, became the 11th member of the Rochester Knighthawks Hall of Fame, and deservedly so, the first goalie to ever be inducted into the Hall of Fame. A fitting honor and tribute to Pat O'Toole.
Oh, that's for sure. Pat O'Toole is one of those guys that, he's been the backbone of the Rochester Knighthawks for a number of years. And, I had the honor of playing with Pat O'Toole on a couple teams. And he's just one of those team guys. He's a great guy and a great goalie. And kudos to him for getting into the Hall of Fame for the 2013.
And alumni here as well tonight. Obviously yourself, but Randy Mearns, Matt Ryder, Pat Kugovin. The list goes on and on. Even Brian Silcott made it in for the festivities tonight. Of course, all the members of the coaching staff that are alumni, about a dozen here tonight. It's got to be nice to see some familiar faces here in the building.
Yeah, it's great. It brings back old memories, and you start talking about stories that throughout games and after games and during travel, and it's great talking about those old times and just kind of remembering, reflecting on our careers, and it's just an honor to be able to be a part of something like that.
Wow, it's a great tribute to Pat O'Toole, and Rochester will see if they can finish off a great evening as they have the lead 5-3. We'll be back with third quarter action here at the Blue Cross Arena. Welcome back to live action here at the Blue Cross Arena. Rochester winning the loose ball battle. Campbell on all fours, rolling it on over, and it's going to be Toronto possession. 5-3, Rochester in the lead as Gamble will flip it over. Hellier had a hat trick last night and the win over Buffalo. Season high for number 10. As LeBlanc now has it. And he'll give it on over on the left wing side. Fired across to Doyle. The shot wide of the net. And that's grabbed off the end boards by Campbell. And back away comes Brad Self across midfield. Self gives it over now to Dawson. Dawson shaking off the double team, trying to take it in on goal. He has it stripped away. And back away comes Greer. And Greer will give it on the left wing side as he'll change in favor of Casey Barnes. Scott Evans gives it over now to LeBlanc. LeBlanc trying to shake off a check, sliding over to help out is Ian Lord, who's got a goal tonight. LeBlanc across off the stick of Sid Smith and grabbed out of the air by Matt Vince. Lord now flip past to Joe Walters. Great story, Joe Walters. 5th year with the team. He's a former season ticket holder who helped the team win a championship last year. That doesn't happen too often.
No, that's for sure. Joel Walters had an opportunity to play, and he's getting some playing minutes, and he's taking full advantage of those minutes that he's playing. And Toronto now, Garrett Billings.
Watch there by Campbell. One hands it behind the net, and that's picked out of the air by Paul Dawson. Over to Campbell. He's got to wait for it to avoid the over and back. And Campbell. Stick check there by Colin Doyle, who was trapped on the turf. As he's stuck out there playing D, and now he changes. Over to Jamison, to Vitarelli. Now to Jamison. Has it right wing. In the slot. Gives it over now to Dawson in front. Wide open to Kersey. He's denied. He scores! It was kicked in by a Rock defender.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to get that goal. Maybe, I don't know. Joel McCready, maybe, whoever touched that ball last, but it looks like it was kicked in by the Toronto Rock defender there. So we'll see. What's. I know Nick Rose is calling for the flag, but we'll see if Coach Corley throws the flag or not.
Well, that would be an own goal if we were playing soccer. Oh, big hit by Rory Glaves as he drills Marshall down to the turf. They played in front of the Rochester bench, and Gamble ducked away from the double team. 12:20 to go. Still waiting to see who's going to get credit for that Rochester goal. LeBlanc fires it up top. 6-3 Rochester. Over LeBlanc, he hit the crossbar. Behrens will track it down. Casey Behrens over on the left wing side. The shot, that one bounces wide of the net. Played in front, the inside opportunity. Behrens is denied by Vince. Matt Vince, two-time goalie of the year. Standing tall so far. One of the top goalies in save percentage, goals against, and saves. And Rochester's going to pick up a penalty behind the play as Craig Point is going to head off. Delay penalty coming up to the Knighthawks. As that last goal of Kersey from Jamison. As they work it over to Garrett Billings up top to Doyle. Now Sanderson shot. Save, rebound. Oh, and Behrens is denied by Vince.
That was a great save there by Matt Vince on Casey Behrens.
Over now to Doyle. Up top to Evans. Left wing to Billings. Looking. Gives it to Doyle. Now Sanderson. Everyone getting a touch on it. Sanderson, the low shot, kicked away by Vince. Still the delay penalty coming up to Rochester as soon as they get possession. And that one's going to skip across midfield. And finally, the penalty coming up to the Knighthawks.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate penalty. I think it was very similar to the Micah Kersey penalty. Joel McCready's arm just kind of got caught, or his stick got caught in between the stick and shoulder of the Toronto Rock defender. So it's unfortunate, but it's one of those calls that they have to call, and Knighthawks will try and kill this off.
So I will correct myself, as I thought that was Craig Point because he was arguing, but he was actually the man running behind Joel McCready, trying to give his teammates some help with the referee. Fed over now to Doyle. Cross crease pass knocked out of the air. Grabbed by Mike Kirk. Kirk looking down the floor. Skips it over to Dan Dawson. And he'll run it through the neutral zone. All 6'5" of Dan Dawson, former league MVP. Charging, tried to charge in on goal. He had Jamison free backside, but he keeps it himself. Big Dan Dawson tried to flip it to a Kersey, and that's grabbed away by Gamble. Toronto 2 for 3 so far on the man advantage tonight. 2 power play goals by Garrett Billings. Now to LeBlanc. LeBlanc right wing. In the slot to Weiss. Over on the left wing. That's off the left shoulder and out of play as Garrett Billings let it go. 9:42 to go here in the third. The Knighthawks have increased their lead to 3 after the fluky goal by Micah Kersey. 6-3 Knighthawks. We'll be back on the Knighthawks Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the Blue Cross Arena. 6-3 as Toronto still with a minute left on their man advantage. Roger Weiss with a shot right at the midsection of O'Toole, or of Matt Vince. I knew I was going to do it once tonight. Matt Vince with the save. I was thinking O'Toole because he went into the Hall of Fame. And Vino's career with the Knighthawks starting as Pat O'Toole's did, very successfully. Jamison, watched there by Hobbins. Now to Accursey. Accursey 3 points tonight, 2 goals and an assist. And his shot goes wide of the net, and that'll go off the far glass. Nearly went out of play. 8:58 to go. And Toronto with 19 seconds to work with. LeBlanc to Doyle. Doyle setting up behind the net. Now gives it up top. LeBlanc shot saved by Vince. And Vince now trying to get it out of his stick. And Rochester able to get it across as Vitarelli now to a wide open. McCready in front to Dawson. He scores! Dan Dawson.
That was a great play there by Joel McCready to make a nice pass over to Dan Dawson, and he put it in the short side behind Nick Rose. And I think defensively Toronto got a little flat-footed, got a little complacent, was watching what was going on, and in the meantime Joel McCready was breaking down the floor and made a nice pass to Dan Dawson, who put the ball in the short side of Nick Rose. It was just a nice goal by the Rochester offense.
So Pat Merrill wins the face-off. And Garrett Billings will bounce it across on the left wing side. 7-3 Rochester, 6:33 the time of the goal. And Rochester has matched their biggest lead of the game. Weiss over on the left wing, the shot, the save, and the rebound corralled by number 48. Sullivan flips it over to Brad Self. And he'll feed it now to Paulus over on the right wing side to Joe Walters. Walters lost his footing momentarily. Now again, gets back up. And now to Dawson, looking for the hat trick. Gives it to Johnny Paulus, and that is grabbed by Nick Rose as it bounced off the far boards. Merrill from the left wing side. And he'll bounce it up top to Casey Barnes. Barnes gives it over to LeBlanc on the near side. Colin Doyle looking, and an illegal pit call. It's going to be Rochester possession. Many fans may not know, but Colin Doyle actually was drafted by the Rochester Knighthawks. He ended up being the 1998 Rookie of the Year for the Ontario Raiders. And the rest, they say, is history, as he has won numerous championships with the Toronto Rock. 99, 2002, 2005. 5 championships all told. Feeds it across now on the right wing side. And now gives it to LeBlanc. LeBlanc to Sanderson, also a former Nighthawk, to another former Nighthawk as Scott Evans rips it wide. I guess when there's 9 or 10 teams in the league, you're going to have a lot of formers on each team.
Yeah, that's for sure. I guess you can say your career always starts in Rochester.
Over now to Accursey, to Craig Point. His career started in Minnesota. He was Rookie of the Year. Oh, a big hit by Craig Point on Stephen Hoare, and he's going to head off. As Pat Merrill wanted a piece of Craig Point.
Yeah, I think that was just a matter of battling for a ball, and Craig Point came in a little bit too hard on the Rock player, and took him a little bit from behind. But I think he's got a boarding call there. So
5-minute penalty on Craig Point.
Okay, well, obviously the referee is calling a 5-minute boarding penalty. It seems like the Toronto Rock guy got up real quickly, but you know what? That's a call you got to make along the boards. And anytime a guy gets hit from behind along the boards, it's something that the referees are going to call.
Well, what a huge opportunity for Toronto. They trail by 4. Over now, the shot save as Evans let it go. Paul Dawson trying to get away from 3 Rock players. Paul Dawson still with it. And he's going to give it over on the right wing, and the bounce pass to Dan Dawson. And the Knighthawks shorthanded for most of this third quarter. Lofted up top now to Walters. In front to Dawson. He's posting up in front. And that shot went wide of the net, and Toronto will take over. Just over 4 minutes remaining in the 5-minute boarding penalty to point. Fed over now to Sanderson on the right wing. Over to Doyle. Doyle in front, the quick stick, and the save by Vince. Rebound is grabbed by Kirk. Headman pass to Brad Self. Self going after it. That's flipped on ahead to Scott Evans. He's having trouble with it. Self trying to take it away. And he'll give it to Billings. Gives it up top now to LeBlanc. 5 minutes to go here in the third. Fed over. Now in front, and it's sticked wide of the net, and Campbell picks it off. Fed over now to Self. 2-on-1 break. Self in on goal. The shot. Stick save by Rose. And a penalty coming up to Toronto, a bench penalty.
Yeah, I think we got too many men there. The Toronto defender jumped the gun a little bit out the door, and had a little bit of cheating on the back door there. So it's it's something that the referees are real tight, and they're close. They got their eye closed on that.
7-3 Knighthawks. We'll be back in a moment.
Every time you come to the Knighthawks games, be sure you scan the QR code on your ticket or up in the atrium, and you too could be eligible to win. Jennifer, congratulations. You get to go to the distillery and have lunch with number 1 J-Dub Joe Walters. Thank you for supporting the Knighthawks. Enjoy the rest of the game. Thank you.
Put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air, put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air and dance to the beat.
Who attends every game here at the Knighthawks, cheering on Rochester. That's not him. The shot before that was him. And the Nightingales also cheering on the home team. 4-on-4 lacrosse right now. Walters fires, and he hit the far pipe. Edwards going after it. Johnny Paulus digging for it. Pat Merrill going after it. Paulus applying the pressure. And Edwards will try to get it across the timeline, and he does. Hellier now with the ball on the left wing side. 4:06 to go, a big bench penalty after the 5-minute call to point. That shot is wide as Rory Glave's got a stick on Doyle. Toronto has it on the left wing. The shot, another shot knocked down, and this one, Matt Vince takes care of himself. Hellier now gets the rebound. Bounces it over now, passed over to LeBlanc, being pressured by Sid Smith, and he'll turn it over. Paul Dawson going after it, and that's going to be whistled down. Dan Dawson trying to chase that down before it goes through the crease.
I think Paul Dawson and Dan Dawson both chasing after the ball. Nick Rose was thinking about going after it, but seeing about 12 feet of men coming at him. I think he bailed real quick.
That's a lot of teal coming after you.
Yeah.
And Dan Dawson had the ball, and McCready got called for the illegal pick. Chapman bounces off a check by Vitarelli. Takes it into the Rochester zone. Chapman, the shot, save, rebound. Oh, a follow-up save by Matt Vince.
Oh, that was an unbelievable save by Matt Vincent. He's really feeling it tonight, and then you know what? So he's been feeling it pretty much the whole year, and it's been a matter of the offense trying to get some goals for him. And you know what? He's been real solid tonight, and is seeing the ball real well.
3 minutes to go in the third. 7-3 Knighthawks. And in 16 seconds, Toronto will go back on the man advantage. Dawson loses the handle on it, trying to grab it in the near corner. 4 seconds left on the shot clock. Dawson in front of the net, one hands it, and he rips that one wide. Shot clock violation, 2:45 left. And Billings will wait as Roger Weiss's penalty, well, the bench penalty served by Weiss, is released. Weiss, the in-home player tonight for Toronto. Now Doyle up top to Weiss, across on the left wing. Now back to Weiss. He runs into Sid Smith. And the ball was dislodged, but Billings picked it up. Now over to LeBlanc. Up top to Weiss. Now to Doyle. Doyle runs into Rory Glaves, and Vince will grab it as he fires it now to McCready. Over to Paul Dawson on the right wing. 44 seconds remaining in the penalty to Craig Point. Bounce pass over to Joel McCready on the left wing. 2 minutes to go here in the third. McCready has 3 white jerseys in front of him. McCready on the run, the shot, and Rose got a piece of it. McCready sprinting after it now. And Toronto will walk it through the neutral zone. 16 seconds to work with. Doyle on the right wing, looking, cross crease feed, now try to feed it back to Sanderson, and Doyle backs him up. Sanderson up top. Fed over left wing, the shot, that's denied. Sanderson in front, between the legs, he scores. Colin Doyle, a between the legs shot at 7-4. We've had some spectacular individual efforts tonight on goals.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know what, Colin Doyle, that was a highlight reel goal by Colin Doyle, standing in front of the, right in front of the goalie of Rochester there. I'm not quite sure how you leave a guy like that wide open down there and allow him to shoot a shot like that and allow him to still be standing. But you know what, that was a great goal by Colin Doyle, and he continues to show why he's one of the better players in this league.
So we'll have to check and see if that's a power play goal or not. But a 5-minute major, and if all they got out of it was one, it was not a power play goal. So Rochester didn't yield a bit. Vitarelli to Walters. Left wing to Dawson. 1 minute to go as Dawson takes the feed. Flip pass up top to Acursi, and his pass will sail over the glass and into the crowd. 56 seconds left here in the third, 7-4, and for Doyle, his second of the game. Hellier with it. Sanderson with an assist. That shot is ripped wide of the net, and that's going to bounce across midfield. It's going to be Rochester ball. 42 seconds to go. And the Knighthawks will take over deep in Rock territory as Cody Jamieson, who had a big goal in the first half, has the ball. Has the double. Gets away from both. Now a third, the shot. And Rose with a stop. 30 seconds left, and Toronto is going to get the offense out there for one last crack at Matt Vince. Billings, shadowed there by Campbell. Now to Evans, to Doyle. Doyle flips it to LeBlanc. He's doubled up. They battle for it. LeBlanc falls down. Now Kirk picks it up. 6 seconds left. Now to Paul Dawson. The long-range shot, and oh man, he almost beat Rose. He whipped that from just over midfield.
You know what? That almost went in there too. I think it was caught Rose a little bit flat-footed there when Paul Dawson shot the ball towards the net. So it's that was a hope and a prayer, and it almost went in.
7-4 Knighthawks as Rochester with a 3-goal lead over the first-place team in the East Division. We'll be back with fourth quarter action on the Knighthawks Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the Blue Cross Arena, and Matt Vince does rock tonight, as he is limiting Toronto to 4 goals thus far and has made 36 saves. Off the face-off, that one is swatted on back, and the Rock will come away with it. Out-of-town scoreboard, Colorado early, 2-0 over Philadelphia. If Philadelphia would lose tonight, they'd be 5-7. If Rochester would hold on to beat Toronto, the Knighthawks would improve to 5-6 and move into second place in the East Division behind Toronto. Doyle has it, now feeds it up top. Hellier gives it right back. Doyle looking, fires the shot. Vince got a piece, so did the far pipe. Now over to Garrett Billings, to Doyle, back to Billings, in front, shot, Hellier scores.
And offensively, that was just great ball movement by the Toronto Rock, and to get Hellier wide open on top of the crease, and to make a nice little quick shot to the far side of Matt Vince over his stick shoulder there. And Robbie Hellier is one of those young kids who've been in the league for the last 2 or 3 years. I think he's still got a year of junior to play, and he's somebody that can definitely play with the best of them.
So 7-5, Toronto with 2 straight goals. That one 45 seconds in. And Billings and Doyle assisting. Vitarelli up top to Dan Dawson. Dawson bounces it over now to Craig Point, back to Dan Dawson. In the high slot to Paulus, now to Point in front. Dawson, the shot, he scores! Dan Dawson completes the hat trick.
That was a nice little pick and roll between Craig Point and Dan Dawson, and you know what, Dan Dawson is seemed to be come on fire as of late, and that's something that the Rochester Knighthawks going to need offensively from a guy like Dan Dawson. And you know what, he was just a great shot, and you know what, the flag's thrown here, so I think we might be seeing a call from the referee.
It's going to be very close. Those of you who are watching on TV and on the Lacrosse Network. 13:48. And they're going to take a look to see if Dan Dawson's goal was by Nick Rose before Dawson stepped into the crease. It was bouncing around in there. It hit the pipe, then hit his foot. But did the initial shot go in?
No, I don't think. I don't know.
It's bouncing around, and then all he's got to do is clear the crease. You see it bouncing around there off the post, off the left. It'll hit one of his feet, then the other foot. Now it goes in. He's out of the crease. I don't know, Trisky.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
That's very close, but they're coming out pretty quickly.
Here comes it quick.
No goal. Well, still 7-5. $13:48 to go. A good challenge by Troy Cordingley, the head coach of the Toronto Rock. Garrett Billings across now on the right wing side to LeBlanc. Gives it to Sanderson. His shot hits Dylan Evans. Evans ahead now to Scott Self. He'll track it down on the left wing side over to McCready in front of the net to Walters. He can't hang on to that pass. Bounce pass across midfield to Gamble. Gamble on the right wing to Hellier, and now another penalty coming up to Rochester. This will be the 6th power play for Toronto tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the call is going to be here, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see.
Over to Doyle, the shot, and that's grabbed by Vince. Bench penalty.
Cool.
So a bench penalty upcoming to Rochester, and another opportunity for this potent
Yeah, again,
Rock power play.
early in the fourth quarter here, it's an unfortunate penalty, and they were looking to even some things up here from the last call, the bench penalty. So obviously we know they're calling it real tight.
And that shot by Sanderson denied by Matt Vince. Vince looking across. He better get it across. He does. Bounce pass to Jamison. Nice feed as Cody Jamison grabbed it. Jamison taking on the double team. 10 seconds to work with. He's got a Kersey out there with him. 2-on-3 lacrosse. Jamison spinning away. In on goal, the shot, and that's knocked away. Jamison going after the rebound. Still battling for it against Johnston, and Johnston comes away with it.
That was a great individual effort by Cody Jamison, and he's obviously going to be tired after that shift. But you know what? He took on 3 guys there, and it was a real good battle for him.
Only a minute left in the man advantage now for Toronto. Barons to Doyle. Over to Garrett Billings, up top to Doyle, the Sanderson in front. Oh, big hit in front. Grab by Evans. Now to Billings, his shot hits a man in front. 1 second on the shot clock. And they're going to say that he made the save before the shot clock expired. And Toronto with a reset. As Doyle took the feed, now has it behind the net. Gives it to Evans. Evans swatted away. Beautiful play by Sid Smith. 10 seconds on the shot clock. That one is stopped by Vince. 11-12 to go. And the number 1 rated penalty killing unit being put to the test tonight. 6th power play for Toronto. Joe Walters with the ball. 5 seconds left in the bench penalty. Rochester with a 2-goal lead. Dan Dawson with the ball. He's got 2 tonight. McCready will join the offense. Dawson shot, save, rebound. 2 Knighthawks converge. It's underneath Edwards. Now a 3rd Knighthawk in there. Still digging for it. A push from behind, and McCready comes away with it. And Rochester gets the reset. Johnny Paulus has it. All 20 years old. Was a champion as a 19-year-old rookie. Walters over now to Kersey. Kersey in the slot. Over to Vitarelli, right wing side. Vitarelli taking it in, he scores! Corey Vitarelli, it's 8-5.
That was another great individual play by Corey Vitarelli. A nice pick and roll game with Johnny Paulus, a 2-man game on the left side, and Corey Vitarelli just kind of tucked the ball and started rolling to the net and put it in between Nick Rose's legs. So that was a real nice goal by Corey Vitarelli.
4:50 the time of the goal. And Corey Vitarelli, his 2nd of the game. And Rochester, another face-off win off a procedure call. As Dawson gives it over to point. That was a huge goal for Rochester after killing off that penalty. Jamison gives it over. Paulus looks, feeds it behind the net. A Kersey wraparound. He scored! No mercy from Micah Kersey.
Offensively, the Rochester Knighthawks obviously got a lot of pop in their offense tonight. It's great individual efforts and lots of second efforts by the Rochester's offense, and that was just a great play by Micah Kersey to come around, to wrap that ball around Nick Rose as he's just standing on the other side of the net. It's tough for him to get across to the other side. He kind of plants himself, and it's tough to get across. So that was a great goal by Micah Kersey.
Kersey with a hat trick. Rochester with 2 goals in 20 seconds. A Kersey from Paulus and Jamison. As Dawson has it. Now the shot by McCready scores! A dribbler, it's 10-5.
know what, Joel McCready, he has brought a lot of energy to tonight's game. It started out with that fight against Merrill, and he's played some great minutes for the Rochester Knighthawks. Offensively, he's bumping, he's grinding, he's playing lots of offense. He's getting some opportunities to shoot the ball, and that was just a great shot by Joel McCready. And you know what, he's bringing some effort, he's bringing some energy to this Rochester Knighthawk front end.
3 goals in 45 seconds. Kersey with one of those goals, along with Vitarelli and Joel McCready. Boychuk in goal now for Toronto. Off the face-off, and Hellier comes away with it. McCready from Dawson, fed in front of the net. That play is broken up. And Rochester across midfield. 9:10 to go. 10-5 Rochester as Kersey takes the feed. Micah Kersey, 5 points tonight, including career number 800. Jamison in the slot, looking, fires, saves. Oh, he almost knocked it into his own net. Boychuk made the save and swatted it wide. Jamison gets it back, and Rochester will reset its offense. Dawson over now to Jamison, 8:40 to go. Now to Point, pulls the trigger, hit the crossbar. And with 8:36 to go, the Rochester Knighthawks offense has awoken. 3 goals in less than a minute. Nick Rose is out, Boychuk is in, and the Knighthawks lead is 5. We'll be back in the Knighthawks Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the Blue Cross Arena. Zach Boychuk has played now his 4th straight game for the Rock, 13.82 goals against, 714 save percentage. Plays in Nanaimo in the Western Lacrosse Association. And Joe Walters has it on the near boards. Walters in front, the shot, he hit the pipe. Great feed in tight to Johnny Paulus. The Rock in transition as Stephen Hoare will feed it over on the right wing, and he'll head off. Casey Barons now joining the offense. He'll set a pick now for Billings. Now to Weiss. Near side to Edwards, in on goal. Edwards, the skip shot. That goes wide of the net. Another good defensive stand for the Knighthawks. Scott Self leading the charge, 3-on-2, over to Dawson. And Dawson's going to pull the ball up top.
And that was real smart there by Dan Dawson. Obviously, he had a opportunity to, get a bit of a fast break there, but he got caught out on defense there, so he wants to take a bit of a break.
And Craig Point with a laser off the quick stick. It's 11-5.
Yeah, that was a nice pass there by Corey Vitarelli. And you know what? Craig Point's got one of those sticks that he can catch and shoot the ball with the best of them, and that's all he did there. He just put his stick out and gave Vitarelli a target. Vittorelli put the ball right in. Actually, it was Jamison. So those two have done that. Those two have done that a lot over the course of their career, and they're pretty used to doing that stuff. So you know what? Good for Craig Point to catch that ball and rip that behind Boychuk.
So the Rochester Knighthawks, with 4 straight goals, have blown open this game. Doyle from the right wing. That one is picked off by Brad Self. Self across midfield. He's got Walters with him. In on goal, the shot. Boychuk with a save. Doyle now to Greer. Greer has it on the right wing side, and he'll flip it on back to Doyle. Now to Barnes, up top to LeBlanc. Across to Weiss, near side Evans, a shot. That is blocked away by Vince. Picked up by Weiss on the right wing. And he gives it over right wing side, taking it in on goal, the shot. And Vince with a big save as LeBlanc took that one hard to the cage. Evans drawing the double team. He has it knocked away. Swatted away, but Weiss grabbed it out of the air. Now tapped away from Garrett Billings. Smith going after it to the right of Vince. Lord going in there. Glaves digging for it. Glaves still looking for it. It's knocked around. Evans throws around his body. He's ripped down to the turf. And a loose ball push. It's going to be Toronto ball. 5:57 to go. Sanderson tried the quick restart. Now over to Evans. He misses wide. That's off the stick of Sanderson. And he doesn't, they said he kept it over. That was right on the line.
That was right on the line, yeah, that's for sure.
Let me tell you, a lot of one-on-one battles going on right now in the Rochester zone.
It's going to be a great finish to this game. Obviously, we're up 11-5 here, so there's, Toronto doesn't want to give any more than an inch here, so it's going to be a real good battle right down to the end.
Walters has it in front. Paulus behind the back, save, rebound, and Boychuk has it underneath him as Vittorelli went in there looking for the rebound.
Yep, and that's Corey Vittorelli. He wants everything, and he's going to battle for it. He tried to get that loose ball there.
5 minutes to go, and the Rock pulled their goalie. They trail by 6. Doyle up top to Billings. Now to Weiss, over to Doyle on the right wing. In front to Bairds. He loses it. Vince has an empty net and gives it over now to Scott Self. Across now on the left wing side, and very alertly Rochester not being baited by that open net.
And that was a great play by Dylan Evans. Real mature, real positive play there for the young guy there, just to pull it out and get the ball moving.
And Nick Rose is back in goal for the Rock as it's fed up top. Dawson, the shot. Save made by Nick Rose, picked up by Dawson. Swim move gets away from Chapman. 4:16 to go here in the fourth. Vittorelli to Dawson. Down low to Acursi. Acursi brings it up top on the left wing side. Now to Dan Dawson. Fires it over the top of the net. And that one is grabbed by Chris White. White walks it into Rochester territory, and Toronto will call Nick Rose to the bench again. 3:48 to go here in the fourth. Billings gives it up top. Weiss the shot, and Vince got a piece of it, and that one went out of play. 3:39 to go. Rochester 11 and Toronto 5 behind the great goaltending of number 48, Matt Vince. We'll be back on the Knighthawks Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the Blue Cross Arena. No, that is not Matt Giles. That is the fiddler behind the Toronto Rock bench. And the Knighthawks with an 11-5 lead. As Toronto with the extra man, the shot, and he scores. Garrett Billings makes it 11-6.
Yep, that was obviously a 6-on-5 there for the Toronto Rock, and anytime you put those 6 guys on the floor, it's that's a tough out for the Rochester Knighthawks. But you know what, they're keeping them at bay, and they're limiting their shots. And again, Garrett Billings, you give him time and space to shoot the ball. He takes a nice shot, just a short side on Matt Vince, and that's a tough save to make for Matt Vince.
So for Garrett Billings, that's his 3rd goal of the game. He also has 2 assists, so he is over 90 points. Looking to have back-to-back 100-point seasons. And now Boychuk will head to the bench for Toronto. Less than 3 minutes to go. Garrett Billings over now to Sanderson. Behind the net, the wraparound attempt, and that is denied by Vince. Campbell down the floor. He has it knocked away by LeBlanc, gives it to Sanderson, he scores! And now things are getting interesting, 11-7.
Yeah, Toronto Rocks, there's no quitting these guys, and they got lots of guys on this team that are veterans, and they're hungry to win, and they want to battle game in and game out in every shift. So, it's a guy like Josh Sanderson's out there, and it was just a turnover, and you give Josh Sanders an opportunity like that to score, he's going to do it.
2:40 to go, 11-7. Toronto with 2 goals here in under a minute. Sanderson and the assist by LeBlanc, who caused that turnover. He stripped it away from Scott Campbell. 2:24 to go. Doyle from the high slot, the shot that's knocked away by Vince. It goes out of play. And Matt Vince right now has made 46 saves tonight. Sanderson to Doyle, over to Billings. Looking, shoots, he misses wide. Sanderson grabs it, bounce pass, that's grabbed by Scott Evans. Now to Garrett Billings, cross crease feed, and he couldn't pull the trigger. LeBlanc now to Billings. Up top to Doyle, now to Evans, he scores. Scott Evans. 13:05 the time of the goal. It's 11-8. Another extra man goal.
Yeah, 6-on-5 goal there by the Toronto Rock, and it's just ball movement. They're moving the ball real well, keeping it out of the sticks of the Rochester Knighthawks defense, and again they're up by 1. So it's a battle that Rochester's going to have to overcome, and they got to stop the bleeding here. Take a little bit of momentum back to the finish of the game.
1:40 to go. Bounce pass to Jamison. And it's a 3-goal lead for the Knighthawks. 3 straight goals by Toronto with the extra man. Jamison looking, shoots over the top of the net. Grabbed by Dawson. Dawson turns around, shot. Boychuk has it underneath him. 1:23 to go. And the Rock are within 3. That last goal, Evans from Doyle and Billings at 13:05. 1 minute and 13 seconds to go. Billings over to Sanderson. Up top to Doyle. Garrett Billings. Sanderson. Shot. Save. Grabbed by Vince. Feeds it down now to Brad Self. Shot, and he scores! The empty netter. It's 12-8.
That was one of those opportunities that you really want to take there, and Self is smart. He's played this game before. He's a veteran guy, and sometimes you shoot that ball and sometimes you don't. But to get momentum back, that shot's wide open, and I think you got to take that shot to get momentum back.
And now Campbell nearly picked it up off the face-off. Campbell still battling for it. The ball's free in front of the Rochester bench, where it's picked up by Hobbins. 46 seconds to go. Boychuk heading to the Toronto bench. LeBlanc Up top to Billings, looking, firing, he misses. And that one across midfield, that is an over and back violation. Billings and Doyle both with 6 points tonight. Jamison gives it over now to Walters. Across to Accursey. Up top now to Jamison. The Rochester Knighthawks with a 4-goal lead. Jamison runs into Edwards. They will move into a tie. Oh! Now we've got some extracurriculars as Johnston was knocked down. And Jamison's got his man down in the crease. 9 seconds to go. These teams will play again in Toronto on April 7th, a 3 o'clock Sunday game. And everyone had somebody tied up. And Marshall and Jamison. That's almost like a hard pick in basketball where you're coming around the corner and you don't see it.
Yeah, you know what? That's definitely a hard pick by Corey Vitarelli there. And you know what? It's not like he came out of nowhere. He was standing flat-footed, and Edwards just turned and ran into a brick wall there. And you know, obviously Toronto took a little bit of offense to it, and it's something that you know, it's one of those things that happens in a game, and that's why you play with your head up.
9 seconds left. Vitarelli, 2 goals and 2 assists. 2 highlight reel goals. Joe Walters, 3 assists tonight. Shots 56-49 in favor of Toronto. And Matt Vince is heading over to the Rochester bench. And I wonder if they're going to put in Goodleaf with 9 seconds left. Either that or Vince is just going over to get a little squirt of water here. Rochester is back in action next Saturday night against Philadelphia, 6 p.m. national TV game on the CBS Sports Network. The last time they were on national TV, they won the Champions Cup. So it'll be Philadelphia and Rochester, a battle for second place. And a win, and Rochester will move into second place, but they'll be tied with Philadelphia. The Wings came into the game 5-6, so Rochester would move into a tie. And right now, Colorado is beating Philly 6-4 with 9.5 minutes to go in the second. And I'm sure that the officiating crew just wants to get this game over with. So Marshall 5 for fighting. Jamison 5 for fighting, and Vitarelli's going to get a 5-minute penalty. No unnecessary roughness on Corey Vitarelli. And Angus Goodleaf is in goal for the Knighthawks. Well, 9 seconds to go. And Rochester is going to end Toronto's 4-game winning streak. And Goodleaf with a save. He remains perfect on the season. As Angus Goodleaf is yet to allow a goal as the Knighthawks' second goaltender. 1 shot, 1 save. Have a good night, everyone.
That's great. That's great.
Goodleaf.
That's great for
And
Angus.
the game is
Angus
over.
Goodleaf. It's perfect.
12-8 Rochester. They have ended the 4-game losing streak here on home turf to Toronto. And they have denied Toronto clinching the division and the home playoff game. We'll be back in a moment. 12-8 Rochester as they take down the rival Rock. We'll be back on the Knighthawks Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the Blue Cross Arena, and the fans and the Knighthawks fired up tonight, a 12-8 victory as Rochester takes down the first place Toronto Rock by 4 goals, and Matt Vince has to definitely be in consideration for player of the game. 47 saves for Vino on a night that started with a tribute to Pat O'Toole. So Kersey they'll be co-players of the game because Kersey got his 800th career point, and he also had 3 goals and 2 assists. Well, momentarily we'll throw it down to Jeremy Newman, the public address announcer of the Rochester Knighthawks. And we'll send it down now, floor level, as Newman will have Matt Vince.
And gentlemen, tonight's stick-eyed players of the game, number 44, No Mercy, Micah Kersey, and Vino here. It's good. I got to tell you, on the second goal tonight, Kersey assisted on, that's his 800th career point. And it's nice to finally get the monkey off our back here at home. Congratulations. Can you kind of speak to how it feels to finally get one here at our home barn?
I mean, it's been a frustrating year, and we appreciate the fans sticking behind us. And, you know, we've been working hard. We just haven't been working really smart. So, you know, it's good to get a good victory here and get another one next weekend.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, No Mercy, Micah Kersey, and Vino. What an intense game tonight. Probably the tenacity on the turf tonight was probably the fiercest we've seen all season.
Yeah, you know, I think, we just focused and played, 100% for 60 minutes, something we haven't really done that much this year. And you can really see how well we can play if we can really stick to it and follow the game plan that our coaches provide us.
Absolutely. True professionals right here. Vino, a hell of a game. Give it up. Matt Vince, everybody. And Micah Kersey, tonight's stick-eyed players of the game.
So the co-players of the game, Micah Kersey and Matt Vince. The next game, April 6th here, Saturday night, as Rochester will try to keep things rolling and get back to 500. 6 p.m. here at the Blue Cross Arena. Native American Heritage Night, as the Knighthawks will host Philadelphia. As I said, battle for second place on the line in the East Division. Right now they are tied with identical 5 and 6 records, depending upon the outcome of the late game in Colorado. Drisky, any final thoughts quickly?
You know, that was just a great battle. That was something that the Rochester Knighthawks need to go down the stretch here, and they need some confidence. That's a big win for them against the Toronto Rock and one of their rivals. It's going to be a rival down the stretch. So, it was a great battle and a great win by the Rochester Knighthawks.
Well, it was a full team effort as Matt Vince with 47 saves tonight, and a huge offensive effort by the veteran Micah Kersey. Also Corey Vitarelli, you go down the list, Cody Jamieson. It was one heck of a game as Rochester improves to 5 and 6, and Toronto is now 9 and 5. Until next week, thank you for joining us tonight. Rochester victorious 12-8.